when I bought this boat, originally it came with 3 sails. So there's the main mast, the mizzen mast in the back, and it also has a jib in the front. So jib sail, main sail, mizzen sail, 3 sails, and that's it. Well, I lived on another boat before I bought this one, and this boat was actually belonged to my neighbor, and so I bought it from him, and I've known this boat and him for 20 years before I bought it. It's a long time. And my other boat, I had originally, I think, let's see, I had 2 mainsails, one for spare, and it was a cutter rig, so it only had 1 mast and 3 sails. So it had a jib sail and a staysail and a mainsail. And it also had a jib. It also had a Yankee, which is like a small jib that's cut kind of more of an angle to it. And it had a drifter, which is, it's kind of like a reaching spinnaker. So it's a great big sail for light wind in the front. Beautiful sail. I think it's just gorgeous. And had a storm sail. And but at any rate, and then when I was in San Leandro Marina, that's where these boats were. That's where I lived originally, and where this boat was. I went up to the dumpster one day. I was walking by there, and some guy was throwing out a couple sails. He's getting ready to throw them in the dumpster, and I said, "Are you throwing these away?" And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "They're no good." And I did work in a sail shop for a while, so I know a little bit about sails and making sails and working on them and repairing damaged ones and evaluating them as far as their condition. And one of the sails he was throwing away was like brand new, not a damn thing wrong with it. The other one was a little older, kind of, little stains that could be cleaned out. Even though a lot of people say don't clean your sails, you can. There's ways of doing it. You just got to be careful, But any rate, so I grabbed those 2 sails. One was had tracks on it, little cars for. It was a mainsail on for a smaller boat, so it had these little cars on it that go on a rail that you hoist up the mast. And it turned out that sail for the mainsail for a smaller boat fit pretty good for my mizzen. So now I have 2 mizzen sails, so I'll have a backup. So it was a little smaller than the original one, but that's okay. And then the other sail was a jib, but it was for roller furling, so it had no hanks. Well, this boat doesn't have any roller furling at all. All the sails are hanked on, so it's a good old-fashioned traditional boat with old-fashioned hanked on sails, or actually you get a better sail shape with the old hanked on sails than you do with the roller furling. And then they just look so nice, with the hanks on the cable. And so I grabbed those 2 sails. So my sail inventory, just before I left San Leandro, was I had 16 sails for this boat. That one roller furling one, it was just the right size to use as a staysail, because this boat does not have a staysail. This boat only has 3 sails that you put up when you're sailing. I can add a staysail, which will now make it have 4 sails, and the staysail goes between the jib and the mainsail. So there'd be the jib, the staysail, the mainsail, and then the mizzen sail. And so I was thinking, well, I can convert that roller furling sail and put hanks on it. I know how to do that. It's no big deal. And so I had it sitting on my dock box. I was getting ready to move, and I had to get a survey. So I had everything out of my boat so the surveyor can get in and inspect it. And I had that sail sitting on a dock box adjacent from my boat. And I just left it there. I was like, the marina was closing down and everybody was pretty much out of there. I think I was the only boat on the whole dock at that point in time, which is really nice, not having absolutely no neighbors and living on your boat with no boats around you at all. I mean, it was awesome. I loved it, even though I did like most of my neighbors most of the time, pretty much all of them, when they were there. But so I left that sail on the dock box, and it had been really windy, and I came home from work, and first thing I noticed is that sail was gone, and I'm thinking that thing was heavy. It's really heavy, and so I'm thinking I don't think the wind blew it off into the water, and if it did, it would have been floating in the water. I would have seen it. So I think somebody stole it, and so now I only had 15 sails, which was okay, but I do have a stay sail, so I took all the sails off my old boat and kept them for this boat. This boat, the masts are raked back. They're not straight up and down. So that's kind of like a New England fishing boat style from like the 1800s. And it looks really cool. And the only thing is the sails on this boat, the mainsail and the mizzen sail, are cut different than normal sails, because normal sails are 90 degrees. And because the mast is raked back like this, the shape of the sail is different. So the angle is different. And so my other boat sails, they wouldn't really fit good because the fact that they're 90 degrees, and to put it on something that's not 90 degrees, it's not going to fit. But I came up with an idea, and I'm sure it'll work. And instead of having the mainsail, the foot of the sail connected all the way across the entire boom, what I can do is what's called footless. And what you do is you only attach the very back corner of the sail to the boom. So I can put my old sails on this boat if I had to. Now, they're real heavy sails for heavy weather, and the sails that came with this boat are more for lighter winds, kind of moderate. They're in between. They're not real light, but they're not real heavy. My other sails are really heavy for real heavy weather, which is in heavy weather, you reef your sails anyway. You want smaller sail area. So my other boat was smaller than this boat. It was 35 on the deck and 41 feet overall. And this boat's 41 feet on the deck and 51 feet overall. And so I can use the old sails on this boat, because by going footless, what will happen is I just hoist the sail up higher on the mast, and there'll be an air gap underneath the boom in this section down here, but it'll still be attached at the back of the boom. Any rate, so they will work, and they're smaller, which would be good in heavy weather. You need to reef anyway. You don't want a big full sail up in heavy weather. So I can use them in case I need them in an emergency, in case something happens to my mainsail on this boat here, the original mainsail gets damaged. I can bring it down and put this other sail up and be fine. So I decided to keep all my sails. So that one sail got stolen in San Leandro, so I went from 16 sails in my sail inventory down to 15. And I was bummed out about it. Now I still have my other boat was a cutter rig, so it did have a staysail. And I do have a staysail I kept off my other boat. The only problem is the foot is really long. And so to put another stay in the front, it has to go way forward. And it does have a boom, so it can be self-tending. And I do have the boom from my old boat on this boat, the staysail boom. And the only problem is it goes so far up onto where the pulpit is that it barely clears the mainmast in the back. And that's how long it is. My other boat had really long, the sails were real long and shorter, but long foot. So, at any rate, I can use my old staysail and put it on this boat if I set it up for that sail. But I'd kind of like something a little smaller up there and not as long. And so the other day, I was coming back down the ramp, coming back down to my boat, and there was a sail and a sail bag sitting down by the garbage can. So people leave stuff by the garbage cans if they think other people could use it, instead of just throwing it in the garbage, so, someone else might want it. And I see the sail bag sitting there, and there's a guy down there, and I thought he was leaving it there. Well, he took it. Somebody else left it. He took it back to his boat. A couple days later, it was back out there. Well, all the boats pretty much nowadays have roller furling. It's rare to see a boat with hanked-on sails. And so that sail, he took it back and set it by the garbage. Well, it has hanked on. It's a hanked-on sail, and it's a jib. And so I grabbed it. So I'm back up to 16 sails on my inventory, and it's right here. And it has hanks on it, so these are those brass bronze hooks that go on here. And here's the head of the sail, and it looks good. And when you inspect sails, really one of the first things you want to look at is you want to look at where the main connections are. So the head of the sail, right here where this grommet is, and it looks really good. No problems here, it looks great. I haven't looked at the sail yet, I haven't taken it out of the bag. But then you also want to look at the other two corners. You want to look at the clew and the tack. So the clew's at the end of the boom, the tack's by where the mast is at. And look at the condition of them, that's important. So this sail is pretty heavy, so it kind of matches my old sails. It feels pretty much like the same weight as my other sails off my old boat. All triple stitched. Not every stitch is triple. It's triple stitch, zigzag, triple stitch. Stitching looks good from what I can see so far. Here's, yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and take it out of the bag right now, and I'm going to connect it to the forestay, and I'm going to hoist it up the forestay and have a look at it and see how big it is and see if it'll work as a staysail and see what kind of shape it is overall. I don't know. There might be a problem with it when I get it out of the bag here. But that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, my dinghy is kind of in the way, but I'm going to live with that. It's okay. It'll be all right. It's not really in the way enough to be a problem. And I also have my my jib sail that's in the blue bag there, up there on the very front of the boat, up on the pulpit. So I leave that where it's at. And a lot of times when you're sailing with hanked-on sails, you don't have to take one sail completely down to put another sail up. You can just put it back down, put it in the bag, or just keep it down and bungee it to the lifeline, or just get it out of the way to put up another sail if you need to change sails in a hurry without going to a lot of trouble. So so that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm just going to leave everything like it is, and I'm just going to hank this on up above. I got to put on a sheet on it, which is the ropes that control it. And hopefully I'll pick out one that's long enough to reach all the way back to my winches back there. But it's a little breezy. I wished it wasn't really as windy as it is. But at any rate, so I'm going to go ahead and unbag the sail now, and I'm going to hank it on, and then I'll go ahead and put the sheet on it and hoist it and see what it looks like. Okay, a few little rust stains, that's normal. All sails get them. Oh, look what I found. It's got the sheet already on it. So I won't have to add a sheet. I'll just have to probably tie it off to one of my lifeline stanchions, because I'm sure this ain't going to reach all the way to my winches in the cockpit. So, but I do have the sheets on here, and they're not in very good shape, but Here you go. Overall, it's looking pretty good. Okay, now get this sail bag out of here so don't blow away. Okay, so let's find the head, go up to the pulpit, start hanking it on. Find the tack, and okay, so this sail was made by Hoisting, Long Life Sails, San Francisco, and here's the tack. So it's a 75 jib. I'll go ahead and start with the tack and just start hanking it on to the forestay. So you just do them one at a time, and start with the tack on the bottom and work your way up to the head, to the top. Hopefully all these hanks will open up. Sometimes they get froze up, and they look like they're big enough. It depends on the size of the cable that you're putting them on, but they do fit. I just hope they don't get bound up, so we'll find out. So you kind of put it on like an accordion shape, and you want to make sure you don't miss one. So you go on. Now let's see what we have here. Is it going to be big enough for staysail on this boat? I don't know. But at least it's another jib if I need it. And you know, I have a big jib that comes all the way back to here to the boom, and then I have a Yankee, which is smaller, which would be really good for high winds and heavy weather. So I'll have one that's kind of in between. This is pretty small. So I'm trying to think. If I go from there, actually I think it's just right. So now I got to hook a halyard to it and hoist it up. And before I do that, I'm going to get my sheets set up. I don't think these are going to reach to the cockpit at all. But one goes on the port side and one goes on the starboard side. Yeah, they're not going to reach to the cockpit, but that's okay. That's easy enough to change to a longer line. Okay. And this one over here on starboard is the one I got to attach because of the way the wind's blowing. I think I'm going to have to attach this to my lifeline stanchion. See how far back it goes. I'm going to want it to go around the outside of these lines here. Oops, don't trip. And I got a block right here on a track. I'll go through that block. I went through a block that's on a track. It's for the jib sail, and then I just went ahead and, which is like a pulley, and then I went ahead and just tied a bowline knot around my stanchion. The line was almost long enough to reach to the winch, but actually it's really way too short because when you go to a different tack and the sails goes back, let's say it goes over to this side, the line on this side has to be really long, and same thing on the other side. So you got to have a lot of extra line, and so this is definitely too small. Now I'm just going to take the easiest halyard to deal with here. I have a main halyard and a jib halyard. I'll just go ahead and take the one with the easy one to get to deal with. So I'm actually using the halyard for the mainsail. It's a little shorter than the jib one, but it'll work. It reached. Okay, so here's the halyard here. Now, one thing about halyards, you don't want to let go of them, because if they go up the mast, they'll go all the way up the mast and come out of the block at the top of the mast, and then the halyard will fall back down on the deck. And guess what? You know how you're going to put it back up there? You got to climb up the mast to do it. So you always never let go of your halyards. Even though I can let go of it, it's not going to go anywhere. I don't trust it. If the wind comes up and boosh, you can blow the line and make it loose. So, okay, let's give it a try. Here goes. Let's hoist it up and see what we got. Hopefully I didn't miss any hanks. We'll see what kind of shape and what actual shape and it's in. Oh, I forgot. I forgot about this halyard. I probably should have used the jib halyard. No, it's okay. That's good enough to where I can see what I need to see. So it's not too windy, which is good. And let's see what we got. Okay. Hey, that sail's not bad at all. It's in good shape, and it's small, but I think I can use it for a staysail, and it's a Yankee cut, so it's not like a 90-degree angle. It's like this, which they're just beautiful sails. It's a little small to use as a jib on here. A lot of times you'll see old sailing ships. They'll fly a Yankee sail up on the front of the boat, and even though they're smaller, they'll fly them up really high, and they look really cool. And I could do that with this one, but I think the staysail, because it's going to be smaller in the middle between the jib and the main sail, that sail's smaller anyway. I think it might work. Again, I might have to hoist it up high. I may have my other staysail from my old boat, because it's got such a long foot that I have to go way up and attach it way up the other stay for the staysail would have to be attached way up on the pulpit, and it really needs to have a lot of support. It should be farther back, right at the very bow of the boat, behind the pulpit. But yeah, let's take a look, and I'll show you what it looks like. So there it is. It's a nice sail, and it's in really good shape. And there's a couple little tiny rust spots on it, but that's not bad at all. So it goes up above my spreaders. So yeah, it's a little small, but I think I can use it for sure. And I can use it in a pinch. I can also use it in heavy weather. It's a good heavy sail. So if I have to reef my main and my mizzen, and I won't want to, in high winds and heavy weather, you do not want, big sails up. So the bigger the sail in heavy weather, the less control you have of the boat, and it becomes terrifying. It's amazing that you can just bring the sail area in a little bit and go from terrifying to just totally comfortable, even in real heavy seas and heavy winds. So it's a beautiful sail. Look at that. Not bad for free. I'll take it. Okay, let's get some other angles. And you can see a couple little rust spots, but I can clean those off. So yeah, I think this will work fine. So with the staysail, it's like the forward stay, the head stay. It's the cable that sail's attached to is the head stay, and it goes all the way to the head of the mast, to the top of the mast, and all the way to the front of the boat. So when you add a staysail, it'll go to where you can see where my anchor is. It'll be attached right in the center of the boat, about where that anchor is, maybe where that anchor roller is, and then it'll go up, but it won't attach all the way to the top of the mast. It'll be several feet down. So I think that'll work for a staysail just fine. If I put a stay for my other staysail, I'd have to put it way up here, and it really needs support. So if I put it where you can see that scroll and the hull has that scroll there. That's part of the hull. That would be the place to put it. Now that's what I would do for this sail. I would attach the staysail there, because you're going to want good strong support for it. So it'd probably come back, I don't know if you can see, right where the fiberglass ends there of the boat hull. And if you have it out here, now you're putting too much stress on the bowsprit here, and you'd be putting more stress on this bob stay, which is the stay that comes down here to the bottom. And so you don't want to do that. You'd actually need extra support for that. So I think attaching it right where that roller is that the anchor's on, and then run it up the stay for the stay sail up to about, I'd say, just you'd want to make it parallel. So both stays, the forward stay and the staysail stay, are parallel to each other going up. So that's ideal, but it doesn't have to be that way. It can come out farther in the front. But yeah, for a free sail, it's not bad. But there it is. It's a beautiful sail. Got a lot of life left in it. It's really good shape. It's the thing about sails, especially lighter sails, is they lose their shape. They get blown out, and you want them to be flat. You don't want them to be billowing. And the reason you want them flat is because your boat will sail upwind a lot better. When they get all blown out of shape, and then they billow out and they like puff way out, the boat won't sail upwind very well. That's why racing sails, people that race sailboats, big sailboats, they put new sails on constantly. And that's one of the big expenses of being into racing, especially big heavy boats. Like the America Cup boats and stuff, the old monohulls, back in the 80s, they were like, those sails were pretty cheap compared to now. And they use the other materials. This sail here is made out of Dacron, so it will stretch. And the newer sails, they went to Kevlar, which is bulletproof fabric. And the thing I don't like about Kevlar is the sun just eats it up. It's bulletproof fabric, and I've worked on Kevlar sails where it was just like a onion sack. After it had been in the sun, you could just poke your finger right through it. Bulletproof material, you can poke your finger right through it, and it would just flake and fall apart. Now they're making them out of carbon. So you see these black carbon sails, they're dark gray, and they're better. They really pretty much need to be roller furling. You can't really fold those kind of sails up. I mean, we made some carbon sails when I was working at the sail shop, and you can literally, inside of the sail loft, we would make a sail like this, and we'd literally, it would stand up by itself. That's how stiff the fabric was. And you'd have to roll them up. You wouldn't want to try to fold them. Yeah, this is great. I'm loving this. So cool, right on. So I'm back to 16 sails. So I got a really nice sail inventory for this boat, and yeah, I'm happy. So if you found this video to be helpful or entertaining, please like and subscribe.